Samsung has just revealed the Galaxy S21 smartphone lineup, and we've already pre-ordered our top spec Ultra model, so we figured we would see exactly how it compares to Apple's iPhone 12 Pro Max to see if we have a new flagship smartphone king. So in this video, I'm gonna go through all the specs, I'm gonna compare all the features, and I'm gonna look at the performance of the new Snapdragon 888 chip compared to the A14 Bionic in the iPhone 12 Pro Max to see if the new Galaxy S21 Ultra is right for you, so let's jump right into it. First off, it comes with a new design that's more rounded than before, and the camera bump looks way different, being kind of built into the frame. To me, it seems like they did this because the camera bump is so massive, looking just as big as it was on the Note 20 Ultra, which was much thicker than the one on the iPhone 12 Pro Max. They're also going all matte this year, like this new black matte finish, and I personally really like how it looks, and it should feel really good in the hand as well, weighing just 1 gram heavier than the iPhone 12 Pro Max. The display this year is absolutely killer. It's 6.8 inches large, so just slightly bigger than Apple's 6.7 inch display, but it features a higher 3200 by 1440 resolution. The main issue we had last year with the S20 Ultra is that we had to lower the resolution to use the 120Hz refresh rate mode. But on the S21 Ultra, you get both 120Hz and full res at the same time. And if you're worried about battery life, Samsung solved this issue by using adaptive refresh rate, which automatically adjusts between 10Hz and 120Hz depending on the content you're viewing, just like Apple has been doing for years with the ProMotion tech in the iPad Pro. This is absolutely huge because you no longer have to choose between resolution and refresh rate, while the iPhone 12 Pro is still limited to 60Hz, which at this point is just embarrassing. Not only that, but the S21 Ultra's display can now reach 1500 nits while viewing HDR content, compared to 1200 nits on the iPhone. So based on all of that, the S21 Ultra's display kills the iPhones in basically every single way. There's just no competition here. As far as the battery, the one on the Samsung is a much larger 5000 milliamp hours, so it should definitely last longer than the one on the 12 Pro Max, even with 120Hz mode enabled, which is very impressive. The S21 Ultra will come with 128 gigs of storage and 12 gigs of RAM at the base price, which is twice as much RAM as you get on the iPhone, and you can even get up to 16 gigs of RAM if you buy the maxed out 512 gig model. But as we already know, iPhones are very RAM efficient, so we'll have to test it out ourselves when we finally get our hands on the S20 Ultra, so subscribe right now if you want to see that. One of the biggest drawbacks to the S21 Ultra is that they finally ditched the micro SD card slot, which was one of the main reasons people bought Galaxy phones in the past. And just as expected, there is no longer a charger or earbuds in the box, which is kind of funny because Samsung mocked Apple for doing this on their iPhone 12 lineup. But because of that, Samsung was able to get the price down to $1,200 instead of last year's $1,400 for the S20 Ultra, which was definitely way too expensive and led to a drop in sales. Now before I get into comparing the chips, I want to mention a few more spec differences and features. As expected, the S21 Ultra gets both sub-6 and millimeter wave 5G, but something new this year is an ultra-wide band radio chip, which Apple already introduced with the iPhone 11 Pro. Along with that, they released their new Galaxy tags, which can be used to track devices and items like your keys. And as we already know, Apple has had their own version in the works for over a year now, but it's still not released. And this ultra-wideband chip will also give you more features like using your phone as your car key, and Samsung already partnered with Audi, BMW, Ford, and Genesis to get this feature up and running on new cars. One major new feature is the addition of Wi-Fi 6E, which is unique because it uses a brand new frequency band compared to Wi-Fi 6 on the iPhone, which uses the existing bands. So keep in mind that you're going to need a new Wi-Fi 6E router if you want to take advantage of this. Samsung is also for the first time adding S Pen support to the S21 Ultra, so you no longer need to wait for the Note model if you really want that pen. But this time, it doesn't fit into the phone itself, so it doesn't have a little spring-loaded button on the bottom. Instead, Samsung is selling a couple of cases that have a slot to hold the S Pen, but this can be an issue because the case is going to make it even more wide and large, and some people just don't like using a case. The S Pen isn't included in the box, it's actually a $40 purchase by itself, or you can get it bundled with a case for $70, which isn't that bad of a deal. And as we know, the iPhone still doesn't support any type of stylus, probably because Apple wants you to buy an iPad on the side to use the Apple Pencil. And one more thing, the S21 Ultra features Qualcomm's brand new under-display fingerprint sensor, which is 1.77 times larger than the previous one, and it should be faster as well. This is actually crazy because even the old version was faster than Face ID, with the only issue being reliability. So the larger size should definitely help with that, and we're really excited to test it out again. Now let's finally get into performance and compare the new Snapdragon 888 chip to Apple's A14 Bionic. In Geekbench 5, the iPhone is a massive 40% faster in terms of single-core performance, which is going to make it feel very snappy for common tasks. And in multi-core, the iPhone is still around 9% faster, even with only 6 gigs of slower LPDDR4X RAM compared to 12 gigs of LPDDR5 RAM on the Samsung. So it looks like the Snapdragon is still a bit behind, but it's still extremely fast. With that, let's finally get into the cameras, and there are a ton of changes this year with the S21 Ultra. It now has 5 cameras total, including a 40 megapixel selfie camera that destroys the 12 megapixel selfie cam on the iPhone 12 Pro Max, just like it did before. The main camera on the S21 Ultra still uses a 108 megapixel sensor, which utilizes binning if you don't want to use that mode. But a major difference this year is the fact that it now uses a laser autofocus system, which is extremely important because the absolute biggest issue with last year's S20 Ultra was major autofocusing problems. Laser autofocus should now fix that. And according to Unbox Therapy's video, even the 8K 24fps video mode utilizes this. So thankfully, we can now finally use this mode without having autofocus issues, but it still looks like the optical image stabilization is turned off in this mode. They've also got a really handy video recording feature this year, Director's View, which allows you to view and switch between angles on the fly, while on the iPhone, you can't even switch from the rear camera to the selfie cam while recording. And now the S21 Ultra can finally record 4K 60fps video on any of the 4 cameras, just like the iPhone can, which was a big drawback last year with the S20 Ultra. And as far as the ultrawide camera, it features a 12 megapixel sensor, just like the one you get with the iPhone. And now the S21 Ultra has not 1, but 2 telephoto cameras, both with 10 megapixel sensors, with one of them being an optical 3x zoom, with the other being an optical 10x zoom. This is actually a really good idea because the 3x camera features a decent f2.4 aperture, letting in a bunch of light, while the 10x zoom has a really bad f4.9 aperture, so it should only be used exclusively for long-range zoom shots when you really need it. Now, I don't know if you know this, but last year's S20 Ultra only actually had a 4x optical zoom lens, even though they advertised the crazy 100x space zoom. So the S21 should do a much better job, and it should absolutely smoke the iPhone 12 Pro Max, which only has a single 2.5x telephoto lens. So in terms of the cameras, I honestly believe that the S21 Ultra will now smoke the iPhone 12 Pro Max in terms of camera quality. No questions asked. But of course, we're gonna have to see when we compare them later this month when it gets released on the 29th. So with all of that said, I've gotta say that at just $100 more expensive than the 12 Pro Max, the new S21 Ultra is gonna be the better flagship phone, even if the performance doesn't quite match up. The main drawback this year is the lack of a micro SD card slot, so if that's a big deal for you, let me know down in the comment section below. And if you want to see our full comparison and camera test videos, click that circle above to subscribe so you don't miss out on that, and be sure to watch one of those 2 videos right over there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.